Here's a Ford Focus ST turbo that I did an upgrade for. If you notice the inlet, it's completely different than the factory inlet because we had to cut off the original inlet so that we could sleeve it for a pipe, and then once we had the pipe, then we could machine it out for this 51mm compressor wheel. The compressor wheel is the same as a lot of the other upgrades that you may have seen me do for the KO4. It's 51mm by 62 by 66, and it's a 7-blade billet wheel. With the inlet removed and the housing sleeved, it makes it possible for this housing to be machined on a lathe. Otherwise, it may be possible to machine this with an end mill, but I don't have that tool, so I have to use what I have to work with. There's a few different ways that I could have sleeved this. The way I chose to sleeve this was by pressing the pipe all the way back towards the compressor wheel. However, I could have just sleeved as shallow as possible, but I didn't do that. I probably would have been better off doing that so that it would have kept the blow-off valve recirculation. I can bring back the factory blow-off valve if I want to by using a porting tool and porting out the area of the pipe to bring the recirculation back for the blow-off valve. The thing I don't like about the factory blow-off valves is sometimes these type of blow-off valves, the PSI of the spring is too little for the amount of boost you're running. So if you want to do like 20 pounds but the blow-off valve opens at 15, you'll only be able to make 15 pounds. We put a 9-blade KO4 turbine in there. It's 44.4 by 50mm. The turbine housing would have to be machined for this. I don't know what Ian had in mind for this turbine housing because it's not something that I can machine. It most likely needs to be done on an end mill or something. I talked to somebody before that claimed to make 400 horsepower with this compressor wheel, and that was on a Cobalt SS. With this turbo, I would be happy if they can make 350 horsepower out of this. Usually with the 50mm compressor wheel, you can hit in the 400 horsepower range, but I'm basing my estimate off of the turbine size and the turbine housing size. Here's a look at what the exhaust housing looks like. You can see that looks kind of more complicated than your normal exhaust housing. So to machine that, I really need to pick up an end mill for that. But I'm still looking right now. I'm hoping to pick up a Haas TM1 or a TM2 this year. Here's what the shaft blade should look like on a normal KO3 turbo. The wheel should nearly hit the housing on each side. There's 0.3mm between the wheel and the housing on each side, so the inlet is bored out 0.6mm larger than the wheel. This turbo takes a normal KO3, KO4 rebuild kit. We do have an upgraded kit available for this, so I'll link to that in the description box. For the upgraded parts, I don't have that stuff listed, so you'd have to contact us directly. If you want to browse our eBay store, you can go to our website and then click under Shop for Turbo Parts here, and that will lead you to our eBay store.